Good morning, students. Today, we'll discuss about different approaches that can be seen in qualitative research methods. So in the qualitative research, there are several approaches are there to study the subject. Majorly, it has been classified into 5 different approaches. So those are a grounded theory approaches, ethnographic approach, action research, phenomenological research, and narrative research. So these are the 5 major approaches that we can see in the qualitative research methods. So let us go in detail about each approaches. What does it involve? And with an example, I'll try to explain you in detail where it will give more clarity about each approaches. First, in the qualitative research methods of studying the subjects, we can use a grounded theory approach. What is grounded theory approach? Here, a researcher will collect the rich data on the topic of interest for him to develop the theories based upon the data what he collected. He starts inductively, that is, rather than going for review of literature or previously whatever have been done in the field. In the grounded theory, what will happen? Data will be collected. Then several times this data will be analyzed by the researcher. If needed, again he can go to the samples or the subjects and again he can collect the more data to enrich his information or knowledge about the particular topic in which he is interested. Then inductively, that is from the data, he'll develop the theory. Usually what will happen in the quantitative research, so we'll go to the review of literature. Based upon the review of literature, we'll find the research gap. To fill the research gap, the research will be undertaken. So that's how the quantitative research will happen. That is based upon the existing knowledge. So the theory will be developed. When it comes to the qualitative research, that is in the grounded theory, it happens in the opposite manner. Rather than going for a already established theory, first initially in the what will happen in the grounded theory, data will be collected on the topic which is interested for a researcher. Based upon the data what has been collected, a theory will be developed. So you can imagine the funnel. So funnel like the from the bottom to top, how it starts. So small amount of data will be there. Those data will be give information as the researcher analyze the data in detail and in depth. You'll get a new insight. Based upon this new insight, he'll generate a new theory. Let us take an example, why employees frustrated by their work. So if this is the research question, what will happen? Rather than going on the previous studies, if they want to study afresh, if they want researcher, they means researcher want to get a fresh knowledge about this topic. So what he will do, he'll go to the employees and he'll collect the data, what makes them to feel frustrated in their job. Maybe lack of the appropriate atmosphere, or lack of cooperation in the industry, or the perks what they get, maybe the salary or the recognition if they do well in the job. So lack of this recognition may make them feel frustrated. So rather than going on the theory and to prove the theory, rather than doing the research, what will happen here? The researcher will go to the employees, he'll collect the data from the employees. Based upon the data what he has been collected, he'll try to segregate different aspects, and based upon these aspects, he'll try to develop the theory. So this is how it might be developing a new psychotherapy, or it might be studying any employees in the working atmosphere. One can incorporate grounded theory approach. Next one known as ethnography. So ethnography or ethnic groups, you might have heard earlier. In ethnographic research, the same way what you will do, researcher will immerse himself in the group that you want to understand their culture, practices, belief system, and their attitude towards certain things. You might have seen in the National Geographic or Discovery Channel what will happens, where the researcher will go to the group of people. It might be Amazon forest, or it might be somewhere in the African tribes, where the researcher will go, will stay with them, a particular group of people, which group he wanted to study, researcher wanted to study. With them, he will spend a lot of time. Then he will study their practices, belief system, and the attitudes and the how their day-to-day life happens in the particular setup. So this is known as the ethnographic researcher. As again, if we remember, we cannot assign any numbers while studying these people. Rather than assigning the number, the researcher will spend a lot of time with the subject by spending with them, by eating with them, with sleeping with them, and involving himself in the rituals what they perform. He'll try to understand their culture. So, in the anthropologist, for example, who travels to an island where he lives within the society of the islanders, and he does the research with the people and culture and to know the process of sustained observation and participation. This is about the ethnographic approach. The next approach known as action research. Here what will happen? Here the researchers and participants collaboratively link theory to practice to drive a social change. That is, in action research, what will happen? Researcher not only the study social issues or social problem, most of the time, we can see action research pertaining to certain social issues. So if there is a social issues, the researcher will study along with the problem, will try to give the solution also. So that's called action research. For example, if you go for a physician and if he diagnose certain problems within you, like maybe physiological ailment, if the physician tells you in simple words, you are having the fever, does it helps you in any manner? Or if it tells some technical jargon, and if it tells you are diagnosed with so on so forth diseases, does that help you? Maybe it will be helpful for the physician to diagnose what problem you're having, but nowhere it will helps you to rectify your problem. So when you go to the physician or the doctor, what do you expect? The solution for your problem, not diagnosing and knowing the any technical jargon, which may not be helpful for curing the problem what you're facing. Action research also something like that, where the researcher find out the problem or diagnose the issues what are faced by individual or group of people. After diagnosing, he'll also involve with the same people and try to resolve the issues. Maybe let us take a psychological effect of COVID-19 people. So he may do the action research, because action research immediately the problem which was there in the hand, those problems will be studied and a solution for those problem might be told by the researcher. For an example, psychological effect on COVID-19, let us take. If the researchers study about this topic, COVID was a new kind of thing which we haven't faced earlier. So to take an action, what will happen? Qualitative researcher will do the action research and will study what are the psychological effect being a lonely person, staying within the four walls and not having the social contact, how all these things have an effect on psychological uh, issues or psychological development with an individual. This is the one part. So after studying these things, he also tried to give some kind of solution. If the problem wants, if the individual wants to lead a lonely life due to the COVID-19, whether using the music therapy or the dance therapy, or it might be a yoga and other thing, will these things will help them? If it is helpful, how it will be helpful? So these aspects he'll try to study and come up with the results, how this can resolve the issue and give the solution for the problems faced by an individual. So action research approach is the one thing which will try to study the problem and also it will try to give a solution for the problem. It's known as action research. Next comes a phenomenological research approach. Here what will happen, a individual's experiences will be studied in the qualitative research. That is, the researcher will investigate a phenomena. Phenomena means any kind of personal experiences which is undergone by an individual or event by describing and interpreting participants' lived experiences. The people who lived in the particular situation may be the problem or it might be anything. In that particular situation, how individual feels about that particular situation will be studied through the phenomenological researcher. For example, the family people might be studied through the phenomenological research. have a group of family members who are seeing the first time their family member undergoing the certain kind of major surgery. One of the family member, maybe in the family, five people might be there. Out of five, one person might be undergoing the major surgery. If this is the thing, how the other four people in the family are feeling or experiencing about this surgery will be studied through the phenomenological research. That is how individual experiences certain events when they undergo these particular events will be studied through the phenomenological research. And finally, in the qualitative research, we have a narrative research approach. In the narrative research, a researcher examines how stories are told to understand how participants perceive and make sense of their lived experiences. It is something like the biographies, biography or autobiography, what you call, where an individual narrate his life which he lived in a particular era. For example, it might be a second world war or a first world war. In the time of second world war, how individual lived in that particular timeline, what is the experiences he had, so what is the how he has undergone about that particular timeline. So all these things through the stories will try to collect the data. Through his narrations, will try to not only try to understand from his birth to till date. So we'll not only try to understand his personal life along with that one in that particular times line, how the other people have lived, how the other people experience that situation, maybe the war, time of war, how the each and every individual felt or experienced those fear will be studied through the narrative research. So these are the five major qualitative research approaches which we can see. In the coming slides or in the coming classes, we'll try to explain how data collection will be carried out in the qualitative research method. Those things will be discussed in the coming classes. Thank you.